Which is better, the Harley Davidson 107 engine or the 117 engine? Let's get into it. Hello, welcome to RevelatorAlf. I hope you're all well. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel and hit the notifications bell for all future videos. So this video, a short one, is going to be weighing up which is better, the 107 and I suppose the 114 or the 117 engine for modern day riding. Now, I've been working out the sums here. I've been working out the differences between a 107, let's just say, which is the smallest engine, and now the biggest engine that isn't in the CVO, so basically the 117 engine, right? Which is going to be more useful on a day-to-day riding? Okay, well, we could all have our opinions which is going to be better, but let's just take the main differences right now. And it's a bit of an odd one because the 117 engine comes in two forms now, of course. We've got the 117 engine that's in the Breakout and also in the Lowrider S and the Lowrider ST. And we've also got the 117 engine with the liquid cooled heads that is now in the Road Glide and the Street Glide. Of course, we don't have the Road Glide ST or the Street Glide ST anymore. So if we just take the Sport Glide with a 107 engine, it produces 139 Newton meters of torque, which is equivalent to, what, 102 foot-pounds of torque? And it also delivers 82 horsepower at 5,020 RPM. Bully for the Sport Glide, right? Okay, here's one of the discrepancies. With a Softail standard with the same 107 engine, it delivers this: 144 Newton meters of torque, which is about 106 foot-pounds of torque, and it delivers 86 horsepower at 5,020 RPM. So there's, even between the same engine, there is a bit of discrepancy in horsepower and also in torque. So this is down to, of course, tuning, right? And also this depends on what kind of exhaust they're putting on there and the mapping and all that kind of stuff. So we can see there's a slight difference between the two engines or the two motorcycles with supposedly the same engine, but not a great difference. Let's just take the lowest power version of the 107, which is in the Sport Glide, right? Let's just compare that firstly with the 117 engines that are in the cruisers, and this is the air oil-cooled engine. So if we take the Breakout with a 117 engine, it delivers 168 Newton meters of torque, which is just shy of 124 foot-pounds of torque. And it gives you a whopping 102 horsepower at 5,020 RPM. So the same engine in the Lowrider S and the Lowrider ST, there's a difference again. Now, both these bikes are delivering 168 Newton meters of torque, which is what, 124 foot-pounds of torque. But this is giving you an even greater horsepower, 105 horsepower at 5,020 RPM. So again, not a great deal of difference in the tuning and the horsepower available between the two engines, but there is a slight difference. Okay, so let me just take the highest figure there, which is in the Lowrider ST or the Lowrider S. Okay, so if I take the difference between the 107, which is the Sport Glide, which is the lowest power, and the Lowrider ST or the Lowrider S, we've got a difference of 29 Newton meters of torque or about 21 foot-pounds of torque. Now for horsepower, the difference between the two engines is about 23 horsepower. So it really depends, I suppose, what you really consider as being the net benefit of going from a 107 to a 117. Well, obviously there is a marked improvement. Okay, you get a 20 plus increase in foot-pounds or nearly 30 Newton meters, and you're getting over 20 horsepower. So there is a marked difference, right? So you would imagine, yeah, it's a good buy. It's a good buy to go up to a 117 engine. Now, of course, there's going to be different power delivery profiles and tuning and which will work better for you, of course. And you could say the same, of course, for the 114 engine versus the 117 or the 107 versus a 114. It's the same kind of deliberation as well. But I find it interesting that two engines with the 107 engine, the air-cooled engines, are slight differences, and then we've also got slight differences in the air-cooled engines of the 117 as well. Let's make a comparison now between the 107 engine, the air-cooled, and also the 117 liquid-cooled head engine. So in the Street Glide and the Road Glide for 2024, we know we've got the 117 engine with the liquid-cooled heads. Okay, so it's delivering 175 Newton meters of torque, which is about 129 foot-pounds of torque, okay? And it's giving you a whopping 107 horsepower at 5,020 RPM. So there is a marked increase in torque okay, it's not a great increase, but there is a marked increase, and also a slight increase in horsepower over the air-cooled 117. So in terms of torque between the 107 air-cooled and the 117 liquid-cooled, we're talking about 36 newton meters of torque, which is about 26 foot-pounds. And the difference in horsepower between the two engines is about 25 horsepower. So again, marked difference between the two. But my question is this. This is my question. On a day-to-day riding, whether it's the air oil-cooled or whether it's the liquid-cooled head version, whether the 117 engine is going to give you that much more than you would normally use on a day-to-day riding. Now, in terms of torque, in terms of overall horsepower, yes, of course it's going to deliver more. But where are you really going to notice this? Well, I suppose if you're two-up riding, if you're on a tour, yes, possibly you're going to notice that even more. You're certainly going to notice it in terms of pickup, power to weight ratio. Of course you are. So you will notice it if you go looking for it, of course. I suppose this is my point. If you're really going to value that marked improvement, then obviously you're going to think it's a big difference. But my question has always been, well, how much of a big difference is it really going to be for those day-to-day riding applications? Let's say you're going to go to the local bike meet, you're going to commute on that bike. A 107 and a 114 engine, indeed any other previous twin cam engine, is going to be perfectly adequate for the kind of riding that you would normally do. So I question if jumping up to a 117 engine, whether the air oil cooled or whether a liquid cooled version, is really worth it. Now, interestingly, with the 2024 models, there does seem to be a lot more value in the Street Glide and the Road Glide with the 117 engine liquid cooled head over the 114 engine of previous years. So there does seem to be a lot more value there. So you could argue, well, if I've got a 107 engine or I've got a 114 engine, actually, if I'm going to renew my bike, jumping up to a 117 engine kind of makes sense. It kind of makes logical sense. I'm getting more for about the same money, or indeed, in some cases, a little bit less. If you're going to jump from a 107, or even, let's say, a twin cam from before, from a 107 up to a 117, yes, you're going to notice the big difference. But I revert back to my first question. How much of a difference is it going to be for your day-to-day riding? How much value are you going to get out of that extra 10 cubic inches? I'm not so sure when the dust has settled that you're going to get that much more. You're going to get quite a bit more, of course, but I'm talking here about standard engines. If you've upstaged your 107 or 114 and then you're going to go for a 117 as a standard bike, I don't think you're going to get much difference. In fact, I think you might even drop a little bit of performance, and in fact, quite a considerable amount of performance. Now, let's forget about the 128s or 131s that you might have upstaged it to. Let's just consider just a standard stage 2, stage 3, stage 4 in some cases, a 107 or a 114. Then, yeah, that bike is going to have a lot more value and a lot more usable value and a lot more performance than a standard 117. But of course, you're going to have to consider the amount of money that you've poured into a 107 or 114 to make it even better than 117. Obviously, the 117 is going to be a much better place to start off from. But in terms of weighing up which is best, well, that's an interesting one to consider, isn't it? You've got to consider the value. You've got to consider, yeah, the overall performance. And if it's the new item, the new engine that you're really after, yeah, I get it. I get all that. But on paper, whilst there is a marked improvement between the 107 and the 117, of course, I just wonder how much of that you'll really notice on just day-to-day riding. You're still going to be cruising around at 60 miles an hour. On the motorway or the highway, whatever it is, you're going to be doing 70, 80 miles an hour. You can do that effortlessly on a 107, 114, as you can do on a 117. I've never really bought into this, more torque and more horsepower for the Harley Davidson world or the Indian world or, that kind of thing. It really comes into its own, I suppose, when you're loading up the bike for a tour. Yes, having that kind of torque will really help you pull you through, especially at highway speeds. But normal everyday riding is fine. I mean, just ask anybody who rides a 107 engine or even a twin cam, do they have enough power? Do they really have enough power for the kind of riding that they do? And I would wager 9 times out of 10, the honest riders out there would say, yeah, it's perfectly adequate for my kind of riding. or the kind of riding that I'm going to be doing in the future. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel and hit the notifications bell for all future videos. But which is best, a 107 versus a 117? Well, I think the 117 is probably a better engine, more performance. I'm not necessarily sure it's better value, but that's up to you. Let us know your thoughts.